Break.
I know, I'm connected to you so. It's like the only one on the.
All right, I guess we can go ahead and get started. So, Unit 7 is a big unit, a lot of chapters, only covers 50 years of history though. But there's a lot of things that happen in those early years, World War I, World War II, everything in between. Very first thing we covered was the Meiji Restoration. You do need to know this definitely for your test and for the AP as well. So, AP, you do need to know kind of what the Meiji Restoration was, the goals of it. And there are kind of four major goals of the Meiji Restoration. Anybody remember what some of those goals were? Some of the things that Japan was trying to do, Shaja? Can you say it one more time?
Centralization.
Centralization, have all power in the hands of the emperor. What else? Westernization, westernize our economy, westernize our military. What else is a goal of the Meiji Restoration? Yeah. Imperialism. And imperialism expands in Japan because of the desire for natural resources. That's true before World War I. It's true before World War II as well. So centralization, imperialism, westernization. And what did Japan want to promote as a sense of cultural unity? What was a big idea in Japan for cultural unity for the Japanese nation? Yeah. Nationalism. I thought you were going to say something else, but yes, nationalism. So nationalism, centralization, westernization, industrialization. Great. All right. And why did the Meiji Restoration happen in the first place? What was the kind of event that forced Japan to do the Meiji Restoration? Yes. So there was that going on, but there was kind of some external thing that made the Meiji Restoration happen, Roland.
The US Navy came and said,
Open up or we kill you. Yes. So that opening up of Japan by the United States, that's what compels these arguments about, do we westernize? Do we stay traditional? And the westernized side wins in the Boshin War. Exactly. All right. So Japan was more successful than China at industrializing, really for one reason. Because in China, as you remember, traditional elites were opposed to reform, but in Japan, they embraced it. Elites in Japan embraced reform. That's why Japan is more successful. And the Meiji Restoration is similar to the Soviet Union, actually, because of the level of government involvement in the economy. That's kind of why these two things are similar. All right. On the test, you need to define certain terms, and I want you to talk to your neighbor. I want you to define these 5 terms here. What's irredentism, total war, Stalinism, the 14 points, and what generally is a planned economy? Talk to your neighbor, make sure you know what these things are. Yeah. The level of government control of the
all right, total war.
No, that's not what. Stalinism is how do we industrialize as rapidly as possible. That's Russia. Stalin, There's a lot of English speakers right here in this territory. I'm an English speaker. I can. Don't walk away.
There you are.
Don't.
What? Am I not allowed to sit here?
No, you can sit there, I guess. Really slow. Weird point of view. All right. So Irredentism, what is that? Let's start with the first one first. What's irredentism mean? Yeah, this territory historically has belonged to my country. This territory has a lot of my people living there, a lot of the people who speak my language. I deserve to take this land. It's a major cause of both World War I and World War II as well. Total war, what's that? Remind us what total war is, Ashley. Exactly. You're using not just the men, but the women and the children too, to quote Star Wars. Haha. So you're using everybody in the country to wage war. All right, and then Stalinism, what's the general kind of gist of what Stalinism is? Anybody remember? Yes, so you've got to industrialize as rapidly and quickly as possible under communism, basically. That's what Stalinism is. So that includes things like political centralization. Remember, Stalin is a totalitarian dictator, purges of his enemies, rapid industrialization. There's kind of a certain program related to Stalinism, a certain goal idea. Yeah. The 5-year plans, yes. Same thing. It's a number that starts with an F. Yeah, the 5-year plans. So 5-year plans, at the end of 5 years, we will have produced this much steel, this much electricity, this much other product here. All right, Stalinism, rapidly industrialized through communism. 14 points. Anybody remember kind of the general gist of what the 14 points were about? There are 5 kind of major points I wanted you to know about. Yeah. Self-determination is one of the 14 points. Anybody want to remind us what that one is? Because that's an important one for your test. What's self-determination? Yeah, Molly. Every country gets to determine for itself what type of government it has. People in Africa and Asia, if they don't want to be colonies anymore, they deserve to determine that, basically. So independence is how to think of self-determination. So that was one of the 14, that was one of the 14 points. There's a few other 14 points. I'm thinking of another one, a sort of international organization that emerged after World War I. Yeah. The League of Nations, yes. So self-determination, League of Nations, those are some parts of the 14 points. The general purpose, though, of the 14 points is how do we reorganize Europe and the rest of the world after World War I is over? All right, planned economy, that basically describes government control of the economy. That's what a planned economy is. We're planning what factories produce. We're planning how high to sell those goods for. That's total government control of the economy. 4 causes of World War I. Yeah.
Alliances, imperialism, and nationalism.
Militarism, the increase of military sizes in the late 19th century. Alliances. Someone remind me, what are the alliances in World War I? Who are the different allies? Yeah.
There's the allies.
There's the allies and that's World War II.
Oh, wait. Oh.
The Central Powers, yes. The allies in World War I. Who are the allies in World War I? A lot of crossover with World War II, but who are the allies in World War I? Yeah. Yes, exactly. France, Italy. Yes, you do actually. France, Italy, the UK, the United States, Russia, and Japan and China.
Okay. Yeah.
The British, the Americans, the French, the Russians, Japanese, and the Chinese. All right, and then the Central Powers, that is Germany and all of its friends. All right.
Is that all we need to know?
Germany, who cares about Austria-Hungary and the Ottoman Empire, I guess, yeah. All right, all right, so World War I and World War II, what's similar between both of these conflicts? What's similar first? What are some similarities? Yeah. There's a camera right there. Total war, that's one similarity, the use of total war. What else is similar between these conflicts? Talk to your neighbor. What's similar between World War I and World War II? And militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Development of new technology.
I mean, like, people have like.
And there's a lot of it.
Wait, which one are we on?
We're almost. All right. So before we get to the comparison part, what's the thing that immediately starts World War I, the immediate event of World War I starting? Yeah. Archduke Franz Ferdinand blown away by a Serbian nationalist. Remember, nationalism is one of the causes of World War I. All right, so what's similar between World War I and World War II? What are some similarities between these conflicts? Yes. Ideas of irredentism, I said that earlier. What else is similar between these two conflicts? Yes, Austin. There's technological advancements that happen during both conflicts. Excellent. What else is similar? Yeah. Germany is involved. Yes, you wouldn't get a question like that. But yeah, Germany is involved in both conflicts. What else is similar? Yeah. We do see mass atrocities targeting civilians in both conflicts. Armenian genocide, World War I, Holocaust, in World War II. All right, what's different about both conflicts? There's a few key differences, and I can think of one big one in terms of military strategy, but what were you going to say? Yeah.
Very slow, but for World War II, what these things it's very fast paced.
Exactly. Because of improvements in tanks and airplanes, warfare is much faster in World War II. There's that idea of blitzkrieg. World War I, slow, drawn-out trench warfare. All right. That's good. Good job. All right. World War I. How did countries get their colonies on board with World War I? What was the kind of thing that happened there? Yeah. There was the promise of independence. After the war is over, is that promise actually fulfilled? No, it's not. So self-determination is not granted to Africa or Asia after World War I. It is granted to some people in Europe, like the Polish, for example, but not Africa or Asia. All right. The Allies in the Ottoman Empire, how did they help destabilize the Ottoman Empire? What was kind of the strategy of the Allies to disrupt the Ottoman Empire in the Middle East? Yeah. Exactly. They supported nationalist independence movements like the Arabs, like Zionists, like Jews in the Middle East. All right. Paris Peace Conference, that was the thing that ended World War I. And there are kind of a few things that happened there. One is the Treaty of Versailles. What are some parts of the Treaty of Versailles that happened at the Paris Peace Conference? Yeah. War, guilt, and reparations. What else happened at Treaty of Versailles? Yeah. Demilitarize, and then there's one last one Germany had to do. Yeah. They had to give up colonies in Africa and Asia, and they also had to give up territory in Europe as well. So, Treaty of Versailles, we saw that there was independence for European countries like Poland and Czechoslovakia, for example. All right. And then what's the mandate system? Someone remind me what the mandate system is. Actually talk to your neighbor. Describe the mandate system a little bit. What's that? Yes. Demilitarize. Lose your land. War, guilt, and reparations.
What's the difference between war guilt and
War guilt is you caused the war. Reparations give us money because you caused the war. All right. So mandate system, you don't need to know the classes of the different mandates, like class A, class B, class C, but what's generally the mandate system about? What's the mandate system? Hands were up earlier before.
Talk about blocking.
Fine, then talk about class A, B, and C. What is kind of, yeah, sure.
Well, A was like in
So some countries were given independence after, like, kind of set up for independence, like those in the Middle East, for example. But kind of there was this transition towards independence for class A ones in the Middle East. All right, essentially became protectorates, more or less. Class B mandates, what were kind of the thing about that? Do you remember? Yeah.
they were under supervision.
Under supervision by the League of Nations, and then Class C mandates were not given any chance at independence. Generally, the mandate system describes the relocation, the reallocation of German and Ottoman territory towards the Allies. The British get some of the Germany's colonies, the Japanese, the French, they get some of Germany's colonies. All right, so that's the mandate system. Russian Revolution, what are some causes you can think of the Russian Revolution? Long-term, short-term, any cause of the Russian Revolution? Yeah.
Losing every war.
Losing practically every war and losing very disastrously in World War I. World War I is kind of the immediate cause of the Russian Revolution, yeah. Famines, kind of government mismanagement in general. Anything else Russia was going through? Yeah. Rasputin, yeah, you're not going to get him on the test, but yeah, Rasputin was there too. Russia wasn't doing so good in World War I because of what? What did Russia lack compared to industrialization? Exactly, good job. All right, so February Revolution, a bunch of protesters say, let's make a democratic government. We hate the war, we hate the Tsar, we overthrow him. Russia is a democracy in the February Revolution. However, why did this democracy fail? Why did people not like this democratic government? Yeah. They stayed in World War I. So that led to the October or the Communist Revolution. Exactly. October Revolution finally overthrows the Russian government. All right. And then what are some ideas of Leninism? I want you to talk to your neighbor. What did Lenin argue was necessary for a communist revolution to happen? Talk to your neighbor. What's Leninism? Yeah. So you don't need to be industrialized, but then you need a certain group of people to lead the vanguard part of it. It's representatives of the working class who conduct the revolution on behalf of everybody else. Yeah.
And then the difference between, what were the effects of the
Okay. Communism.
and then the difference between February and October?
Not really, but yeah.
Graduate revolution, one party.
No, parent cannot take the test. Yeah, if he still did. All right, so what did Lenin think a revolution would look like? What did he kind of think where a revolution could happen? Yeah. A country did not need to be industrialized before a communist revolution. That's a big difference with Karl Marx right here. Karl Marx thought a communist revolution could only happen in an industrialized place. Lenin says, LOL, you're stupid and wrong. A communist revolution can happen in Russia. All right, and there's one other thing Lenin thinks was needed for a communist revolution, a certain phrase. Yeah. The Vanguard Party. Lenin, Vanguard Party. Representatives from the working class lead the revolution on behalf of everybody else. It's not every single person in the working class, it's a select few. All right, any clarification about that? Anything so far clarifying anything that we've talked about? All right, the big difference with Mao, the Chinese communist leader, is he thought that the communist revolution in China would be led by what class? Anybody remember? Yeah. The peasant or farmer class. What's your question? Whoa, there's all these smaller privately owned farms. Private property in my Russia, that sounds like capitalism. That's bad. So Stalin is going to collectivize, combine all these small independent farms into government-owned farms, basically. That's collectivization. Any other questions so far? You're all Gucci? All right. Awesome, sauceum, apple, possum. All right, new economic policy. There are 3 parts to the new economic policy. Talk to your neighbor. What are the 3 parts of the NEP?
Wait, how is that different from?
Mao thought that the revolution would be led by farmers. Lenin thought it would be led by urban workers, so city people. City folk.
Oh, yeah. Importing is
And more trade, generally better economy. All right. NEP, there are 3 things in the NEP. What are they? 3 things, actually. Less trade restrictions with the West. We're importing machines from Western Europe. What else? What else is a part of the NEP? Yes. Yeah. Such as private ownership for small businesses. And then there's one last one. Yeah. Planned economy. We're going to have for the big factories, that will be owned by the government. But small businesses, small farms, that will be private property. All right. And we did that already. What might be similar between the Russian Revolution and the Chinese Revolution? I'll just give it to you. Is that they are going to resist monarchies. So Rasputin in the Russian Revolution, some weirdo astrologist who's convinced the Tsar to go into World War I. And then in China, we had 1,000-year-old dynasty, not literally, but a really big dynasty that was very corrupt and not doing anything about industrialization. So both of these revolutions resisted monarchies. And then kind of something similar between the end of the Qing dynasty and the end of the Ottomans is nationalism. Nationalism helped bring about the end of both of these things, the Ottomans and the Qing dynasty.
Russian Revolution, Revolution.
There's a king who has divine right. That's stupid. Let's do a revolution. All right. Any other questions? All right. So, and you'll get a quote actually from a Chinese leader who's alive today, actually. Interestingly enough. All right. What are some problems in China after the 1911 revolution? Who remembers some problems after the 1911 revolution? All right, talk to your neighbor. What are some problems in the Republic of China after 1911? Talk to your neighbor. Yeah. What? Things like the Chinese Civil War. All right. So what are some problems in China after the 1911 revolution? What's one problem? There's political disunity, not just with the warlord era, but even after that with the Chinese Civil War. So there's political disunity. Yeah. Yeah, the Civil War, the Chinese Civil War. What's another problem going on? Yeah. There's ethnic tensions that kind of continue even after the 1911 revolution. Anything else that's a big problem? There's high peasant poverty. I wonder why the communists are popular. So there's high peasant poverty, yeah. There's feudalism, yeah, and that kind of exacerbates this poverty. There's also a lack of what in China after the 1911 revolution? Industrialization, yes. There's not going to be any industrialization in China until the 1980s, as we will talk about in our next unit. All right, so lack of industrialization, and then Japan is threatening to invade all the time. That's a huge problem in the Chinese Republic. Yeah.
Hey, what was that word for like, when like one person is like the center of like.
The cult of personality. Yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but yes, good thinking. All right. All right, so we did that. Great Depression, what are some causes of the Great Depression? Talk to your neighbor. Causes of the Great Depression. Why is trade decreasing during the Great Depression? Talk to your
And then all the loans.
Banks lost all their money because they invested in the stock market. Banks have no money. They can't give it to businesses. Businesses close, everyone's unemployed, no one wants to buy things, they don't have a job. Everything. All right. So generally kind of what's leading to the Great Depression? What's kind of the causes, any causes of the Great Depression? Yeah, Austin. The banks collapse. The banks collapse. They have no money anymore. Yeah.
Using the money to invest in stocks rather than bonds.
Banks are investing in the stock market. And when the stock market crashes, banks lose all their money. When banks lose all their money, they're not able to loan it to businesses. They're not able to loan it to factories. So what do factories do? Oh, I have no money. What happened? They close, exactly. And when factories close, where people have jobs, when those businesses close, what happens? Unemployment, yes, those jobs go away. And when people have no jobs, they have no money to buy things. So it kind of just spirals, shut up. Shut up. It just spirals downward, exactly. All right, so there's a lack of trade because there's no demand for manufactured goods. And if there's no demand for manufactured goods, how does that hurt African and Asian countries? If there's no demand for manufacturing because no one has jobs, you don't need things from Africa and Asia. Yeah. Countries in Africa and Asia produce natural resources. Suddenly there's no demand for raw materials either. It's a global affair, the Great Depression. All right. And then also some governments, they had tariffs. And that decreased trade. What's a tariff? Remind me, what's a tariff? A tax on trade, yes. All right. So as a solution to the Great Depression, generally governments adopt socialist welfare policies. That's true everywhere in the world, generally. Governments reject laissez-faire capitalism in favor of some regulation of the economy. That's a general trend as a result of the Great Depression. Any questions about that? You're all good? Okay. Why is fascism popular after World War I? Talk to your neighbor. Just come up with some reasons. Why would fascism be popular after World War I?
To blame somebody for
Yeah, there's that. Oh no, the Russian Revolution was successful. I'm really scared that it could happen in my country. Oh, communism. Yeah. That's what they did. They went up to communism. No,
No. That.
and then they shot them. All right. So fascism, why is it getting a following after World War I? There's a lot of different reasons. Yeah. They were scared that communists could come to their country. Oh no, well, there's this fear of communism, and that leads to kind of the election of anti-fascist figures. Yes. So this idea of blaming ethnic minorities influenced by ideas of social Darwinism. Excellent. And then why else might World War I have led to fascism, especially in Germany, for example? Yeah. Treaty of Versailles sucks. We lost everything. Not really, but we lost a lot of things. So that's going to be used as nationalist anger against the government. All right. What's different about Stalinism and fascism, about these two different authoritarian governments, Stalinism versus fascism? What's different? Yeah, Nick.
Stalinism doesn't believe
Exactly, that's a huge difference. Fascism embraces social Darwinism. Fascism embraces what I just said. I don't know, I'm repeating myself. Stalinism rejects that altogether. Exactly. All right, any other differences you can think of? One is a communist ideology and the other one hates communism. So that's a major difference right there. All right. What's similar about fascism in Italy and Germany? Anybody want to take some guesses about what's similar between fascism in Germany versus fascism in Italy? Yeah. So there is some sort of secret police in both societies, sure. What else is similar? There's a dictator with a cult of personality, that's similar. What else is similar? I mean, it's the inherent thing that fascism hates and despises, yeah. Or whatever you're gonna say. They're both totalitarian governments, sure. What else might be similar between fascism in Nazi Germany and Italy? Yeah. Here's that one. So they are going to be against liberal democracy. There's another thing that they're really super against, though. Yeah. Communism, exactly. What? What?
Nothing.
What?
I'm just saying, I feel like that's.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, communism. Yeah. And then, yeah, that's good. Okay. So, why did appeasement happen? What is appeasement and why did it happen? Talk to your neighbor. What is appeasement? Why did it happen? And then they allied with Poland. But guess what? The Nazis invaded Poland. Reject social Darwinism.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So first, what is appeasement? What's appeasement as a foreign policy idea? What's appeasement? Yes, I think.
Like, see, for example, when you another country, so they're like, okay, you can have that country, just don't invade any other country.
It's giving in to the demand of a bully, basically. You're appeasing the other side. And why was appeasement a strategy by the British and the French before World War II? Yeah.
Maybe they thought it was like, they didn't want to work.
They didn't want to go to war with Germany. World War I sucked. Millions of people died for no reason. We don't want to go to war. What's another reason why appeasement might happen? Yeah, Carter. They feared communism. They thought the Nazis would have been a good defense against the spread of communism. So there's that. And then there's one last one, a reason why people did appeasement, kind of a stupid reason. They thought something would work in the end. Yeah. They thought the League of Nations would deal with the Nazis. What did the Nazis do when the League of Nations told them to stop invading places? They left and they took over Czechoslovakia. Exactly. All right. And then what are some causes of World War II or any causes of World War II at all? Talk to your neighbor. Causes of World War II. Discuss. All right. What might be some causes of W2, of World War II? Any causes at all of World War II? Yeah. Japanese imperialism out of a desire to acquire natural resources. What else is a cause of World War II? No, it's the German word for two. Anyway, what's cause? World War II. Is it just the Japanese invading China? Yeah. The Germans just violating the Treaty of Versailles. We're remilitarizing. What else is causing World War II? Yeah. Kind of the ethnic prejudices, this resentment against the Treaty of Versailles that led to the rise of what political ideology? Fascism. Yeah, so the rise of fascism, the desire for natural resources in China, and then, yeah, that's basically it. We already did that. What's different between Germany and Japan? Authoritarianism in Germany and Japan. What's one thing that Japan lacked that Germany had? Roland.
The dictator.
A central dictator, one guy as the central dictator, exactly. And that idea that everything revolves around the central dictator, we already said this, but what is that called again? Yeah. Cult of personality. It's all about Hitler. It's all about Mussolini. All right. If you see a picture of Captain America, he's punching Hitler, and that might illustrate the idea of nationalism. Okay, there we go. I mean, he's literally called Captain America. No, Hitler is not punching Captain America. It's the other way around. Captain America is socking Hitler in the face. That would be kind of a stupid comic if Hitler was winning. Maybe it's a Nazi propaganda thing, but not an American propaganda one. Okay. Yeah, we already did that. Why were there tensions between the Allies during World War II? Talk to your neighbor. Why were there tensions between the Allies in World War
Oh, they
II?
didn't know what to do after the war.
But yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And you can walk, right?
There's one more.
The second
Exactly.
front.
Exactly. All right. Three big sources of tension between the Allies. What are they? Yeah, Austin.
And just like the allies were like, well, like the Western are like compared to that.
Yeah, they were capitalists. The British and the French mistrusted communism, and the United States mistrusted communism. What's another source of tension? Yeah.
Like, the US and UK got to the Western Front. Like,
The slowness to open a second front, exactly. And then there's one last one, there's disagreements about something else. Yeah. What's going to happen after the end of the war? How are we going to rebuild after the war is over? All right. I'm just going to say these ones and not ask you to talk to each other about them. So the thing that makes the Holocaust unique in world history is not that it is the first is not that it's the first genocide. We saw that in World War I. What was that genocide called in World War I? The Armenian genocide. The Holocaust is not unique in that it happened during a world war, but it's unique in that every part of the German government, the economy, was involved in conducting genocide. So the economy was about it, society and culture was in favor of it, and the government enacted explicit policies for genocide. All right. And then why were the Nazis able to do this in occupied countries? Yeah.
There's like justification that Jewish people so it's like
So there was kind of that already existing prejudice. Some people already had anti-Semitic feelings in the countries the Nazis occupied. And some people collaborated with the Nazis out of fear. They collaborated out of agreement with their ideology as well. And the Holocaust had a lot of different impacts. What are some of the ones, kind of the big long-term effects of genocides like the Holocaust? Yeah.
Like motivation.
Motivation for civil rights movements, exactly. Kind of, we need to reflect on the injustice of racial prejudice. What other things impacted from the Holocaust? So we do see the creation of Israel. We do see international support for Zionism. And then there's one other one I can think of. What's another one? Yeah.
Racism.
Movements to address racism. Yeah. One more. Yeah. Yeah, the process of denazification. We're going to put the Nazis on trial for what they did in the Holocaust. The Nuremberg trials are what those are called. All right, any questions about anything we've talked about or anything that I mentioned? Anything at all? This is your time to ask those questions. We are done, yes. Yes, Nick. So there was kind of legalized segregation, for example, Jews sent into special neighborhoods called ghettos, for example. You don't need to know them specifically for your Unit 7 test. All right, anything else? Yeah.
The Armenian genocide happened because there was like young Turkish nationalism or something.
Exactly. There was Turkish nationalism. There was mistrust of the Armenians who were Christian, who were sympathetic to Russia in World War I. Yeah. Any other questions?
Then which worlds? Like. But you're back.